Good morning, good evening, good whatever time it is you are listening to this. I'm going to be going over the data sets and the SPY for March 14th, 2025. And with that said, let's go ahead and jump straight into the data. Now, we had a pretty busy day today, so the 13th. We had the PPI data come in, and we had the jobless claims, which they both came in much lower than the consensus expected it to be. So we had the month over month come in at 0%, and we had the core PPI month over month come in at -1% or 0.1%. So it's kind of a big deal. I expected the market to actually head upward on this news, but it didn't. And we also had the 30-year bond auction come in, and that pulled down the point 10% basically, or 0.12% roughly. Uh, Again, we should have been seeing a lot better of a reaction from TLT and the yields and everything based on this data. This is extremely good data. Uh, so with the CPI and the PPI coming in extremely cool, and all the bond auctions this week coming in with reduced yields, we should have been seeing the market pulling up significantly, and we should have been seeing especially like TLT. We should have been seeing TLT pull up significantly. So again, just like the other days, this is a divergence in the data. I don't know exactly what that means entirely yet, other than this isn't acting as it should. The market should be reacting to this data a lot differently than it is right now. Tomorrow we have the Michigan consumer inflation expectations and the consumer sentiment. It's not really a big data set, but it can weigh on the market a little bit. We just have to kind of see what it is or what we get for the readings. If it comes in with higher expectations, then maybe that'll help pull the market down more. But if it comes in very cool, then potentially all the good news this week plus that will give the market some conviction to start buying upward. Just a quick reminder before we get into the technical analysis. If you've been finding value in my insights, consider joining my Patreon. For just $12.99 a month, you'll get access to my trades, courses, and powerful tools to help you grow as a trader. I'd love to have you be a part of our team and community. And it's less than 43 cents a day. So if you'd like to join, click in the link in the description. Thanks. And let's get straight into the technical analysis. Now I'm going to go over the moving averages and Bollingers as always. Now the 5 mile is currently at 560.54. We closed at 551.42, so very likely we're going to see the 5 mile probably around 556, 557, give or take. Um, but yeah, that's right in that range. And we have the 10 mile at 571. Really not worth mentioning. Same with like the 20 mile. It's so far above support right now. It's really not worth mentioning. Now we do have the lower Bollinger at 547.28. So we are pulling away from the lower Bollinger finally a little bit, but it could just be like one of these times where we came up slightly and then pulled back down. Normally this is a signal saying that we're going to come test the 5 mile, which is a very big deal right now. But if you look at the daily ADL, that kind of tells us otherwise. It's still saying that we're still selling off pretty significantly, and even considering all this chop in the ADL over the last few weeks, uh, today was a pretty big move down. Technically in this sell-off, this is kind of a new leg downward, which we did get a new low during the sell-off. So based on what we see tomorrow, we could be pushing downward again. Uh, I'll get into that in a second though. I want to go over the hourly chart first, and I want to turn off the Bollingers and the moving averages. Now we're starting to form some really nice liquidity in here, and I'm going to turn on drawings for a moment. drawing tool. See, we have a big chunk of liquidity right here. So if this is going to break out, what we're going to want to see is something like this. Inverse head and shoulders, and continuing to build the liquidity up in this area to kind of match this other side. And, you know, that would give us both the 5 mod test, very likely over the next few sessions. I can't talk. Sessions. And that would, give us the move upward and out towards the top of that cup. Up at the 577, 580 range. But if this doesn't play out, then what we need to look forward to is very likely some form of head and shoulders, kind of like what we saw today. We originally had this thesis that this could have potentially been an inverse head and shoulders. Either it was going to move upward and break out, or it was going to head downward and, break down. With it heading downward, it built a really nice head and shoulders right here, which gave us the liquidity to move down throughout the day. Now, with that said, what we kind of have to look forward to at this point is this going to build a cup upward towards, that 558, 560 range? Or is this going to form some sort of downward liquidity and, close the cup, head downward? Or are we going to see something like a head and shoulders to pull it downward more? Little hard to say right now. I do know that within the selling channel, we still have a little bit more room downward. We still have all the way down to that 431 range before we expect any sort of like major bounce. But technically, we can bounce, and start testing that support upward. Since we don't have any major data today, which I think I went over that. No, I actually didn't show what data set we're going over today, so let me swap that over really quick. We only have consumer expectations and like inflation expectations tomorrow. It can be pretty bad for the market if those come in saying that they're expecting higher inflation, but this isn't really a major data set, so we really don't have major data tomorrow unless there's some sort of speech from President Trump or something that I don't have on my radar right now. Last thing I wanted to show before I close out this video, just because I didn't want this video to be too long. We have two large gaps downward, and the main gap I'm looking at is this 536 gap. We could still potentially hit this in the selling or in the sell-off. We just have to basically trade out another week and a half, which kind of aligns with OPEX a little bit. And then we can basically test that area or, expand this selling channel out just a little further. But with us being so close to the bottom of that selling channel, the likelihood is we are going to get ready to start testing support upward. And testing the bottom of the buying channel again, or testing the top of the selling channel. We're not there yet. We still have to wait for the 5 mile to catch up. Again, the 5 mile is still quite a ways away, and it's going to open tomorrow. Still far away. It's going to open around that 556, 557. So that gives the range on the day around 554 to 557, or no, 559. So it's kind of a large range on the day. Right now in the overnight, we're at 555. So we could be getting ready to test that 5 mile. It really depends on the pre-market and that early Michigan data, which comes out at 10, so just 30 minutes after the open. With that said, though, things are still pretty darn bullish. We're seeing the 10 mile getting ready to cross the 200 mile. We're not close to the 20 mile crossing the 200 mile yet, but a lot of our short-term support's getting ready to pull under this extremely long-term support. So yeah, with that said, trade safe tomorrow, and I hope everyone has a good day. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you in the next video.